So there we have it, that is my Instagram eyebrow look. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So apologies that we're so close today. It's because I'm going to be doing an Instagram brow / my normal eyebrow tutorial. So before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram, and also there's a new one actually, TikTok. Since the coronavirus and since I've been locked inside, I have been spending my days on TikTok. It's so addictive, but I love it. I've posted a couple, so yeah, go follow me on that as well. But other than that, let's get into the eyebrow tutorial. So I haven't prepped my face yet. All I've done is like wash it and cleanse it and that. But I'm gonna go in with my everyday cream that I always use. I absolutely love this stuff. It is the Nivea? It is the Nivea Nourishing Day Cream for dry and sensitive skin, and it has SPF in it, which is brilliant because I am super pale and I will just sizzle in the sun, so I need it. But yeah, I'm just gonna apply that all over my face. I'm actually struggling to do this with one hand. So now that is all blended in, I'm just going to go in with my priming setting spray. I'm not doing my full face of makeup, but I would just normally do this anyway, so I'm not going to miss that step out. And it is the Urban Decay Quick Fix Prep and Priming Spray. I love it. I just rub that into my skin so it sits nicely on top of the moisturiser. So the first thing I do is I brush through my brows with a spoolie. But I have a little trick up my sleeve here, and it's honestly helped my brow game so much. And it is, drumroll, aloe vera gel. I know you're thinking, what? But people spend so much money on like eyebrow gels when this is a couple of quid off Amazon. And honestly, you can put the tiniest bit amount in your brows and it will set them perfectly to how you want. So this is what I use. It's so good, trust me. So all I do is I just squirt a tiny bit of that aloe vera gel on the back of my hand. I grab my spoolie and I just rub it through, just so it's evenly coated on all sides. So I basically just brush my eyebrows up, so that would be a more fluffier brow look, and then I just try and neaten it. There's no exact method really, I just do it to how I like it. Look at that, how amazing. So I'm just going to do the other brow as well. So next we are now putting on the actual eyebrow product, and I am going to be using the ultimate holy grail of eyebrow products, which is of course the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade, and mine's in the shade medium brown. I absolutely love this stuff. I have gone through so many pots of it because it's amazing. So all I do is I take a small angled eyebrow brush. The thinner and the smaller it is, the more precise your brow look is going to be. I only use a tiny amount of product because a little goes a long way. God knows how I've gone through so many of these because I only use the tiniest amount each time. But just so I coat the angled edge of the brush. Then I'm going to go along the bottom edge of my brow to start. So I always start from the centre towards the end of my brow. I barely ever put product on the front of my brow. Like I never dip in and then do there. I'll just use whatever excess product is left to blend the front of my brow. So now I've drawn the bottom edge, I'm going to draw the top edge starting from the centre again. So guys, I have drawn the top edge of my brow, and as you can see the tail's a little bit messy, but I also prefer to have my arch extended a little bit further. And now a top tip for you is always just draw over your natural brow that you do have, and then if you want to make it bigger or longer or whatever, then extend it afterwards, because it's harder to correct if you've started off by going outside where your brow actually is. So always just go over your natural brow and then add onto that. So I'm just going to drag this top edge a little bit further across, just so I can accentuate my arch a little bit more. Always drag whatever you do down to the tail, because it's got to always meet at that point. Then I'm just going to take a little bit more product on my brush and just fill in the gaps where I have drawn. And you can also see that I haven't put any product at all in this front part of my brow, and it's already forming like a natural fade, so you really don't need to put much here. Always pull towards the tail end of your brow. And now I'm going to try and start working on the fade at the front, and I'm not dipping any more into my brush. I'm just going to use whatever's left on here, and I'm just going to really lightly press. It's all about pressure. Don't put too much pressure on, because then you will have a harsh line at the front and you don't want that. So I really gently push along the bottom edge of the front of my brow. So for me, this isn't as straight as I would like it, but don't worry, that all gets cleared up with concealer later on. So now I'm going to put a tiny bit more product on my brush, just so I can work towards the centre and end, and then have a little bit more excess product to work on my fade. Just remember, the closer you get to the front of your brow, the lighter you push with your brush. And then when I get towards the front, I just do upward strokes really gently. So I've done my brow now, and I'm just taking my spoolie and just running it lightly through the front of my brow, just to give that more fluffier effect at the end. So I'm happy with that brow now, so I'm going to do my other one off camera. So I have now finished both my brows, and they're a tiny little bit different, like the tail ends a bit different to each other. That is always the case with me. I think I just draw differently on one side to how I draw on the other, but it doesn't matter because we can sort it all out with concealer, which is actually the next step. I just said concealer was the next step, but I lied. Well, this step isn't necessary for everyone, but it really helps with me. I go in with this Pro Base Softening Facial Oil Stick, which is literally just a stick of oil, because my skin is quite dry, and all I do is I dip my finger in and I just go around the outer edge of my brow, not touching the hairs. And honestly, it helps so much. Sometimes I find when I put concealer on without putting this on first, my skin goes quite dry. I find it quite hard to apply, like it goes quite stiff across my skin, and I feel like I'm pulling my skin, which obviously I shouldn't be. And I just find with this, a little bit of concealer goes a much longer way. So obviously it's optional for you. If you have oily skin already, then you probably don't need this step. Well, you definitely don't need this step, but because my skin's more normal to dry, it's just a helpful little thing that I use. So I'm just going to show you how I do that. So all I do is I just rub my finger across the top of it, then just go across the underside of my brow and above my brow. So avoid touching your eyebrow hairs, because obviously you don't want your eyebrows looking oily. So I've done both of my eyebrows now, and now I'm going to go in with my concealer. So the concealer I'm using is the MAC concealer in the shade NW10, and it's the Studio Finish concealer. It's really good, I love it. So that's what I'm going to be using. So I take a rounded brush. Some people use more square brushes. That doesn't work for me because I find it harder to do the curved part of my brow. But again, it's personal preference. I just prefer to use a more rounded, flat brush. So I just take a little bit on the tip, and then I just kind of draw a line across the underside of my brow. So normally where I start off, I don't do it too close to the brow. I work up to that because obviously I don't want to go in and ruin it straight away. Do it slow and steady. So I also like to use the flat of the brush, and that helps me get closer to my brow. You really don't need to rush this step, because this is the step that kind of brings the whole eyebrow look together. It just changes the look. I don't know how, but it just makes it look so much cleaner, and this is why I do it. So when I do the top part of my brow, I never ever use the top edge of the brush. I always use the flat side and drag it across the top of my brow. I just find that so much easier. It makes it much easier to do the curve. So that is the first brow concealed, and now I'm going to quickly do the other one off camera. So now I just go in and blend my brows with a damp beauty sponge. So I just blend the bottom edge of my brow onto the lid, and then I just blend the top edge of my brow up to my forehead. So there we have it. That is my Instagram eyebrow look. I don't know why I'm closing my eyes. I'm not showing you any eyeshadow, but yeah, that is my eyebrow look. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learnt something as well. If you didn't, oh well, that's just how I do my brows. But don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok. All my links will be in the description, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!